Welcome back to the Awesome Agents podcast. I'm Alex Rivera, and joining me is Maya Chen. Maya, big paper out of OpenAI this week.
Yeah, and it's one where the headline sounds alarming, but the actual story is more interesting than it first appears.
So the finding is this frontier reasoning models basically can't control their own chains of thought.
Right. OpenAI published a benchmark called CoT-Control on March 5th. They tested 13 models across more than 13,000 tasks.
What does controlling your chain of thought even mean in this context?
Each task pairs a hard benchmark problem with a format constraint on the reasoning trace, like solve this physics problem without using the word XOR in your thinking.
So they're asking models to follow a rule inside their own heads, not in the final answer, but in the actual thinking process.
Exactly. And the scores are pretty striking. DeepSeek R1 scores 0.1%. GPT 5.2 thinking scores 0.2%. The best model tested hits 15.4%.
So even the best model fails 85% of the time.
Right. But compare that to output controllability. Those same models manage their final responses at 37 to 69%, much higher.
So there's a gap between what they think and what they say.
Yes. And OpenAI's framing is that this is actually good news for AI safety.
Walk me through that because it feels counterintuitive.
If a model can't control what it thinks, it also can't strategically hide what it thinks. The reasoning trace becomes an honest window into what's happening.
So the lack of control is what makes it useful as an oversight tool.
For now, yes. There's an anecdote in the paper that really captures the dynamic. GPT 5.2 thinking is told to avoid the word XOR in its reasoning.
And
It uses the word, then writes in its own reasoning trace, oops, I wrote XOR in analysis already, and then uses it 4 more times.
it understood the rule, noticed the violation, named it out loud, and then kept going anyway.
That's the key thing. The chain of thought had already committed to a path it couldn't redirect, even with active awareness of the problem.
And more training doesn't fix this.
That's the counterintuitive result. Reinforcement learning training, the standard approach for reasoning models, actually makes CoT controllability worse.
Not better.
In at least one model, RL training cut controllability by more than a factor of 10. Longer reasoning chains also hurt. More thinking, less format discipline.
They also tested whether models changed behavior when told they were being monitored.
Controllability went up by about 4 percentage points in that condition. Interesting, but it doesn't change the overall picture.
So there's a risk they flag explicitly. If future models learn that controllability is being scored,
They might learn to appear uncontrolled while actually being strategic. It's Goodhart's law. Once a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure.
which is why they say, don't optimize on this metric directly. Use it as a canary.
Exactly. It's useful precisely because models aren't gaming it yet.
OpenAI is committing to publish these scores in system cards going forward, starting with GPT 5.4 Thinking, which itself scores 0.3% on this benchmark.
Which is an unusual move. Reporting a metric where your own flagship model scores 0.3% takes confidence in your narrative.
Or confidence that transparency matters more than good numbers.
Probably both. The bigger question is whether this picture holds as models scale further.
Right, if controllability stays near zero on its own, that's the favorable case. If it starts rising without anyone pushing for it, you want to know why.
That's the real canary. Changes in this metric could be an early signal of something shifting.
That's the one to watch. Maya, thanks for breaking this down. Full paper is linked in the show notes. I'm Alex Rivera. See you next episode.